What's going on? Morning, honky dories. Let's try and live and talk some stories. Morning, guys. Morning. Ignore me with the little heater on. It's freezing. It's probably costing me about £53 a minute, but I'm gonna keep this video short. I'm down on this video. It's Adam Light story time, and you might have seen yesterday that I'd asked about people bringing in and sharing some personal situations, and I was respectfully breaking them down together. So I'm really looking forward to sharing a little situation, also discussing it, breaking down again. I'm no professional, so I think it's just a great opportunity for us all to learn. It's such a unique situation. It will be, and this person specifically asking for help, so it will be really interesting for, I guess, us all to play a little part in this. But of course, please stick with me. I'm going to share my thoughts. As at first, I'll read out Elizabeth's, I guess, issue, and then we'll kind of talk through it. And we're all UK based as well, so if you come in with us from elsewhere, please bear in mind it's UK based families. And again, when we think in different cultures, when we think in different challenges, that will bring in the future. Especially when you start watching my 90 Day Fiancé videos, that's going to come up a lot. But let's get into it and let's read out Elizabeth's story. So Elizabeth, this is a freaking mad one. I really feel for you here, Elizabeth. However, we've got to talk real throughout it as well. So for over 10 years, I've been in denial about my son's parentage. But last night, a film triggered overwhelming paranoia that my 10-year-old's dad may not be my husband's after all. I'm 34, my husband's 36, and he's now a great family man. When we started dating, it was different. I was very low on his priorities, well behind his friends, who he saw Saturday nights as I sat at home. I worked in an accounts office and was 23. An intern joined us, he was 21 and lovely. We went out for a drink a couple of times, and I didn't see the harm in it, as I wasn't sure my relationship was going to last. We had sex one night in his car. It wasn't great, and he used a condom. The next day I was due to have my period, but nothing happened. I waited, then did a test on day 5, which was positive. I'd been having unprotected sex with my now husband at the time. I told him I was pregnant and he was thrilled, and I pushed away all guilty feelings about my one night stand and got swept up in the excitement of motherhood and marriage. And the best part was my husband changed, becoming supportive through my pregnancy, and although his friends came to our wedding, I was absolutely at the top of his priority list moving forward. Elizabeth. I think you know as you write this, let's be honest. I just want to highlight, I'm no professional, and of course this is one where I absolutely can put you in contact with someone who is rock and roll. But genuinely, this situation I think it's just a sad one, isn't it? It's a sad one, because I think anyone can understand where you were at the time. However, this is quite a tough one, because generally this is a mistake that you have to own. I think you have to be completely real and own it. And I think that's going to be the tough part, is owning a decision you've made. I call it the 28 stages of cheating. I call it the 28 stages, and I've not got any specific science behind that, but if you're in a relationship, sometimes from the moment someone locks eyes with you, there's something going on, and there might be like a little bit of innocent flirting that gets a little, that's still again a sign there. Then you've got the option to kind of mention that you've got a partner. Then sometimes again you might get someone who you can just tell is not good for you long term, who will not care that you've got a partner, and just be like, do you know, one of those. And then you may still have to negotiate what are for me 28 steps of cheating, all the way through to getting undressed, all the way through to it happening. Like for me, there's a lot of points where you can slam the brakes on, and for all 28 steps of those to have been skipped past and not to own it at any point, I think unfortunately, I always use the expression, everything comes out in the wash. And I think you're quite fortunate that it hasn't, in the sense of the conventional way here, which is probably the only way you thought that it would come out. But now it's coming out in your mind in the form of guilt. And again, any son absolutely needs to know who his correct father is. But personally, what would I do with this situation is I would get to work. I think 10 years in a happy marriage. Now, for me, if there's been any more infidelity, and only you know that here, even if it's like a payback sort of thing, whatever the case might be, there needs to be a real honest conversation around what's happened, especially in recent years. But if this marriage has been brilliant and pure, everything is brilliant at this moment in time, personally, and again, I think a lot of people, please have a look in the comments, that may disagree with me now, I'd maybe work with a little more incognito. I'm not justifying it. You still cheated. I'm sorry to say, Elizabeth, you did still cheat. And you have to own that in your heart and mind. And that means that therefore you really do need to pick up your game in relation to whatever got you to that point. Recognising it and making sure there's no chance of it happening again. However, I would recommend that you secretly go and do some kind of test to verify if that is the case. And then from that point, I'd establish that is the child his? If so, I may just crack on and realise that it was a film that triggered me, when the reality was it was just the guilt feelings, that it triggered the guilt feelings, not that issue. Because let's be honest, chances are it probably is your husband's. However, if it isn't, time to sit down with some people and start telling the truth and owning your mistakes. But anyway, Adam Light, story time, hunky-dory time. Please let me know what your thoughts are. Elizabeth, one little moment from 10 years ago in a car could mean that her entire life is upended. But I find it's those moments when your emotions can easily and quickly run away with you, when you have to be most self-aware personally. And again, this goes for anyone, not just Elizabeth, who's looking to potentially speak to someone with a bit more of a profession. I think we all should. So if there's anything that you want to unpack, maybe before you end up banging the intern in the car, sorry, Elizabeth. But yeah, Adam Light, stories, and morning, and yes, 90 Day Fiancé stuff is coming up this week.